Okay. Well, I don't know if some more people are going to show up, but I figured we'd just get going anyways. And we got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. Primarily what I'm going to be talking about is decentralized finance. And I think decentralized finance is something that, for the first time ever, people have actually gotten the opportunity to get involved in the financial sector without actually having to be a bank or a broker or someone else. You can do everything in decentralized finance that you can do in traditional finance, including things like loans. You can do speculation, you can do investing, you can do borrowing, lending. Everything that you can do with traditional finance, you can now do through decentralized finance. And that's what the presentation will be about tonight, will be about decentralized finance. So I got kind of an interesting thing here. Last one, I don't know if some of you were here, some of you weren't, but I did a little thing on ChatGPT, which I called ChatGTP through the whole video, which is kind of fun. I'm not voicing over it, but whatever. It's the sentiment that counts, right? And you guys all familiar with ChatGPT? Okay, what it can do? Those that aren't, I'll kind of explain it. A recent development in December of this year, actually, a company called OpenAI, which is based out of San Francisco, created a product called ChatGPT. And it's an open sourced product that you can ask questions to and it'll respond to you. The interesting thing about it is it has a tremendous amount of data, a tremendous amount of information. It can actually answer you conversationally and it has intelligence built into it. So these are the kind of things that are coming. And just for an interesting kind of segue into tonight's presentation, I asked ChatGPT, hey guys, glad you can make it. So I asked ChatGPT to give me an intro to a meeting about decentralized finance. And this is what it gave me. So the question that I posed to it was, write an intro to a cryptocurrency meeting about decentralized finance that is fun and has a Bitcoin joke in it. Now, I did not write this joke, okay? This was written by ChatGPT. And notice I'm saying that right this time. I'm gonna keep doing that. Okay, so this is what it wrote for us. Welcome everyone to the Decentralized Finance Meetup. Let's get started by taking a moment to appreciate how far we've come since Bitcoin was created in 2009. It's hard to believe it's been 2009 that Bitcoin was created. Back then, it was really a revolutionary idea. It was right after the financial crisis of 2008, and so people were looking for something new. And it's not well known. Now it's a well-known cryptocurrency. I'm sure we can all agree that Bitcoin has come a long way since then. It's, you know, all the financial sectors are all looking at it now. People are seeing it as a serious hedge against inflation and other things. And some people are believing in it more than traditional financial sectors. So now let's put our heads together and discuss how we can make decentralized finance even better. After all, a rising tide lifts all the boats, right? So let's get this party started. That was its joke. So, okay. What can I say? I mean, you know. Okay. No, we did that last time, and I've got its response already here. But this is the interface that Sean pulled up there. It's kind of cool. Basically, the whole idea, and ChatGPT was down just not that long ago, earlier today. Yeah, I tried to pull it up and it was down. But I generally interact with it through the API. I don't know if you guys know about it enough to do that, but the API is just where you can directly tie in and you don't have to go through the ChatGPT interface. And when the API was still up even when this website was down. So in the first part of this presentation today, I wanted to talk just a little bit about what it created for us. I asked it to do a 10-part series that we could do a 10-minute presentation about positive aspects about crypto, and I asked it to generate that for us. So that's what I've got here. And we'll start with that, and then the presentation about decentralized finance, I created myself, no help from ChatGPT, it's all just me. And yeah, there's no jokes. Stacy's not here. No, Stacy is the joke lady. I don't have any jokes. But I do have chocolate bars. Anybody want a chocolate bar? I've got Snickers. Snickers? Sure. I've got Snickers. I've got Coffee Crisp. Coffee Crisp. Bert likes a Coffee Crisp. Anybody else want Coffee Crisp, Snickers? Yes, Okay, he says, yeah, anything. Okay, anybody else? All good? Okay, so here we go. Hi and welcome to this video on how Bitcoin and cryptocurrency challenge the traditional financial system and pave the way for innovation. That's its opening statement there. One of the main ways that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are disrupting traditional financial systems is by offering a new model for financial transactions that is not reliant on conventional financial institutions and intermediaries. So far, not too bad. In the traditional financial system, transactions are often required intermediaries such as banks or repayment processors to facilitate and verify exchange of funds. This can result in fees, delays, and lack of transparencies and centralization, which of course all banks control everything. I mean, you don't have any access to their information, no verifiability there. However, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies allow for peer-to-peer transactions, and they save time, reduce fees, increase transparency, and the control for the parties involved. Everybody gets to see what's happening, and everybody gets to verify it in an open, free kind of way. The decentralized nature of crypto also allows for new types of financial products. Interestingly enough, that's what our presentation is on tonight. But DeFi refers to the use of blockchain technology and smart contracts to create financial products and services that are not controlled by traditional financial institutions. This can provide greater accessibility and choice for consumers and more opportunities for innovation. So in addition, blockchain technology, which underlies many cryptocurrencies, has the potential to disrupt and revolutionize various industries, not just finance. For example, blockchain can create secure and transparent supply chain management systems or facilitate the safe and transparent exchange of information or data, all in a verifiable open source kind of way. So that's it for the video on how Bitcoin and crypto are challenging this traditional financial system and paving the way for innovation. Thanks for watching. So that was completely generated by the AI. Oh, the only prompt that I gave it was, like I said, create 10-minute presentations, positive aspects about crypto. So that's pretty cool. And that's something that we talked about last meetup that everybody can use. Anybody that needs some sort of creative spark can go to ChatGPT, and they can use that to get ideas for blog posts, for Twitter tirades, for anything you want to do. If you want to be the next Elon Musk on Twitter, well, you can go to ChatGPT and come up with some great ideas for products that you can talk about too. Okay, so that's about all I got for the ChatGPT stuff, and the video that I did last time about that, I thought came out pretty good, and we all kind of had some fun. We were asking it all kinds of cool stuff. Sean asked it for a limerick about Bitcoin based on, I don't think we can access that anymore, can we? But that was pretty cool. We got a limerick about Bitcoin and we got a joke about Bitcoin. And so it's kind of fun. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. The technology is pretty amazing.
5 hours for me to write all the posts.
Yep. And version 4 is coming out right away. Yep. Question?
Where does it draw its information?
It's aggregated about 500 gigabytes of data. Things like Wikipedia, it scours and scrapes all social media, Twitter, all sorts of open source things. But you can ask a question. It's pretty amazing. I mean, if you want to ask it a quick question here, we can do that before we continue on. It's pretty cool. Ask it something complicated. How do you tax liquidity pool cryptocurrency? Let's see what it comes up with for that. Taxation of liquidity pools for cryptocurrency can vary depending on the jurisdiction and the specific regulations in place. In general, taxes on cryptocurrency transactions may be treated as capital gains or income taxes. If a liquidity pool is considered a partnership or a trust for tax purposes, the income and gains of the partnership or trust will flow through the partners or beneficiaries, who will then be subject to tax on their share of the incomes and gains. If the liquidity pool is considered a corporation for tax purposes, the corporation will be subject to corporate tax on its income and gains, and shareholders will be subject to tax on any individual dividends they receive. It's important to note that these are general guidelines, and tax laws regarding cryptocurrency are constantly changing, so it's best to consult with a tax professional or accountant who is familiar with the laws in your jurisdiction. We could now tune in on that, and we could say make this specific to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And it will aggregate the information that it has about tax laws in Canada then and adjust it accordingly. So it doesn't know about Manitoba. Yeah, it's only as of the end of 2021, the data. Tell us a cryptocurrency joke. Why was Bitcoin feeling lonely? Because all of his friends were Satoshis. Divided, right? Okay. Because there's 1 million Satoshis in a Bitcoin, right? Why was Bitcoin feeling insecure? Because it was a little Bitcoin. Okay. They're not that great, the jokes. Well, that's one I just read. Okay. Why was the Bitcoin feeling depressed? Because its value was constantly going down and it felt like it was never going to reach the moon. Okay. All right. So not the best at joke creation. And actually, ironically enough, you can tell it to write things based on a certain style. Like you could say, I don't know, write a blog post based on Hunter Thompson, style of writing. And it would really literally write a blog post based on that. And you can go into that detail and that kind of level with it. It'll readjust accordingly. Yeah, it will. And you can do right up to university level. You can put it up to expert level, and it'll keep readjusting the data based on that. So it's really quite amazing what it can do. Oh, the DALL-E? Right, that's awesome. Yeah, I created a whole bunch of stuff through DALL-E. DALL-E, just so everyone knows, is a spin-off from the OpenAI project where you can actually generate graphical representations of text that you type into it. You could say, like I did on the last meetup, I did have a Shiba Inu flying to the moon and happy and cartoon-like, and it created a pretty cool little graphic. And you own those graphics when it creates them through DALL-E. DALL-E, yeah. Yeah. DALLE2, yeah. It's pretty cool, and it's free to use for right now. You get so many instances per month, and you can experiment with this, play with it, create your own original graphics, create your own original type. People are using it to create, well, one guy got in a lot of trouble I just read about today that created a children's book completely generated by ChatGPT, and he published it, and he only told everybody later on after it was published that it was created by ChatGPT. So you're going to see a lot more of this right now. The universities are getting scared because they're basically saying that with this kind of technology out there, it can literally devastate education because you no longer will have to create anything. You just have to edit what the AI creates for you. And this is all coming to our phones, by the way. This is not just going to be on a website. It's all coming to our phones. Your next iteration of Google or of Siri will be, or Alexa, will all be ChatGPT based. As a matter of fact, Microsoft just announced a $10 billion investment into ChatGPT, and they are going to have ChatGPT integrated into all of the Office products. So it's going to be a huge, huge thing. It gives you a lot of power, but what's going to happen with that power still remains to be seen. But I think people need to be aware that this is out there and to start using it because, it's like one of those things where if you don't start using it and don't start getting familiar with it, it's going to catch you by surprise. Because I asked it several questions about crypto and about, what's the best way to invest in Bitcoin. And, you can almost ask any question that you want, regardless of what it's related to, and it'll give you an intelligent answer, which is so much better than Google. I mean, Google is great because it gives you a huge amount of data when you ask for something. But then you've got to go through pages and pages and pages of stuff to try and find one thing. This won't do that. Like we asked it to give us a great recipe for chili. It gave us a great recipe for chili, like right away, boom, 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 right there. Didn't have to search through pages and pages and pages. We got a great recipe for chili. So Elon Musk was in the original investment group that created OpenAI. But he bowed out in 2018 because of conflict of interest between Tesla and OpenAI. They're working on similar technologies. Nigeria, passing a bill to make Bitcoin legal tender. That's fantastic. I mean, the more countries that adopt that. And did you guys see that El Salvador in the Miss Universe pageant came out with the complete Bitcoin getup? Like she had a Bitcoin logo and the whole 9 yards. It was awesome, yeah. So that's kind of cool. So, we'll talk about a couple of things in the news. There's not a lot of great news out there. If anybody has any positive news, I'm all ears. But yeah, there we are. Pretty amazing, eh? Yeah, Bitcoin, yay! Okay.
Can you scroll down and let's read the headline?
Miss Universe El Salvador 2022 poses on stage in an outfit inspired by the country's use of Bitcoin and previous the colon and coca beans as a currency. Solana, anybody invested in Solana? Yeah? Some good news came by recently with Solana. It pumped significantly, 76%.
Right here, 28.3% now.
Yeah, but over the last little while, it's pumped as much as 76%, and primarily because of a meme token. I don't know if everybody knows that. Bonk. That's one of the primary reasons of the pump. Yeah, that's CoinDesk article, by the way. That's not me. And they've attributed the move from 814 to 2165 US, highly attributed to the meme coin because it got so much activity and so many people were buying these meme tokens that, and it's all based on the Solana network. So that's where that came from. And good news, FTX actually recovered $5 billion, and Sam pleads not guilty.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? Not guilty. All of his cohorts there all pleaded guilty, took a deal. He's pleading not guilty. Wow. Like, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think someone's going to jail. Pre-FTX. Bitcoin has completely recovered its value. Yeah. Pre-FTX valuation. So that's a good thing. So FTX was just a little blip. India's threatened again to ban crypto, but this is like, what, the 7th or 8th time now?
More than that.
We don't even react to that anymore. So, yeah, it's like, yeah, and India again, oh, like, and then some of the other regulators say, well, yeah, no, I don't think we're going to do that. And it's like, we don't care. Do whatever you want. We don't care. It's so common now. Oh, Bitcoin has been declared dead 402 times. So those of us that have been involved for a while, I mean, we actually just got our 7-year anniversary of meetups too, which is kind of cool. Meetup sent me a little thing saying, congratulations, you've been doing meetups for 7 years now. So that's kind of cool, I think. 7 years, that's something. Crazy, crazy fast, yeah. So that's kind of fun. Okay, so where was I? So FTX recovers $5 billion, Sam pleads not guilty. Bohemian regulators say that they seized $3.5 billion as well. So there's actually $8.5 billion available now, which means that a lot of people may get their money back. That's all we can hope for, because this is a bad thing that happened there and it's bad for crypto. So if people get their money back, maybe it won't be quite so bad. Okay, so I thought we'd do our picks and then we take a little break, and then I'll do my presentation, and then we'll just have a chat and, you know, talk about crypto and all that kind of stuff. So, picks. Let's see where we're going to be with that. Wayne, what you got?
I'll go with Matic and Bitcoin twice.
Matic, Bitcoin twice. 1, 2, awesome. Peter?
I'll go with Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
DeFi, and
Still with DGB. All right.
And Theta.
And Theta. I even had that one up there for you. Peter? Bert, sorry. I said Peter already.
Bitcoin, Cardano, and
Bitcoin, ADA, and don't tell me I do have nuts up there. Awesome, good stuff. Okay, and Rose.
Can you come back to me, please?
Okay, I'll come back to you. Howard, what's your picks?
Light,
Litecoin, LTC, Doge, and ETH. Good picks. Good picks. Sean, what's your picks?
CRO.
CRO, still having the faith, I believe.
Chip.
SHIB, yeah, SHIB is doing well. And
See the coin market cap helping the top here. Singularity.
Singularity,
Ajax. AGIX.
AGIX. It's not one I'm familiar with.
Okay,
Singularity,
search here.
you're going to have to tell us what it's about now.
It's 22 cents right now, and let's see.
Singularity, 22 cents.
Most of it.
It's
22.
straight up pulled it off the market cap and popped up on the search feature by default.
Okay, do you know what it's about, what it does, nothing?
Not a clue.
Okay, so Sean picked one he knows nothing about, but that's okay.
No, I just-
You're allowed to do that. Rael, what's your picks?
My pick? I like Bitcoin.
Bitcoin,
And I also like G999.
G999, okay.
Who else knows about it?
G999. Okay, now how many you want for that? 1 or 2? You get 3 picks. 1 to Bitcoin, 1 to G99.
I always like Bitcoin.
Litecoin?
Bitcoin.
Yeah, okay.
Worth,
G99. It's at, what's the market cap? No market cap.
No, they haven't taken it out yet.
Fully diluted
Oh.
market cap though.
Fully diluted market cap, 26 million. G999. Boy, is it up and down. Holy schmoly. Buy here, sell here. Buy here. I'm giving you technical analysis now.
I mean, honestly, you're
Okay.
today, you're-
David, what do you got?
I think Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, SHIB. SHIB, go SHIB. DGB? All right. Digibytes gets 2. All right. Okay. And what do you think, Evan?
I'll go Ethereum.
ETH,
H
HBAR,
bar.
and BXB? What's that one now? Oh, they've got a CerTic audit though. That's a good sign.
1 month,
Okay.
looking pretty good.
Interesting. Andre, what's your picks? BTC, always a good pick.
Litecoin and
Litecoin and ETH. He's going with the basics. And Yvonne, what's your picks? Bitcoin, ADA, and Litecoin. Litecoin's getting lots of traction here. I like hearing that. Some people are saying Litecoin's going back to $500. What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah?
that's what she said.
Yeah? But you're the psychic. Well, you got 2 psychics, okay. Are you both in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, I like the sounds of that. I like Litecoin, so I'm good with that. Bert likes Litecoin. Peter, you like Litecoin? Yeah, we all like Litecoin, so.
Close to their half cities and our thing.
The halving is coming, yeah, what, a year and a half or so now?
Kevin,
Yeah,
look at Litecoin.
15 months.
15 months, Litecoin? Okay.
No,
Look at Litecoin.
Halving of Litecoin.
well,
I thought that's
Just
like
a half
a couple
month.
months.
Well, Litecoin has a halving, Bitcoin has a halving. They're different times, eh?
oh, they are?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess so.
Every blockchain is
I
different.
still learn.
Litecoin year to date, all-time chart.
Yeah, I mean, look at Litecoin, $360, $370 US, $500 Canadian at one point. But, you know, it survived well.
Off this week.
Yeah.
Well, today is green.
Yeah, it's up today. What's it at now? 84? Nice. That's actually not bad. It's about 115. So I think that's all of us. We all got, oh, except for me. Rose, I missed you. I had to come back to you. Okay, what's your picks?
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin,
Ethereum,
ETH,
and Binance Coin.
BNB. Wow, that's brave.
That's according to my artificial intelligence.
Wow, that's brave. You really believe in Binance?
That was according to my artificial intelligence.
Really? You asked ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Okay, that was ChatGPT recommended. So, but well, and my picks. Well, I got to do 2 for Nuts, so Nuts can get 3 on the board, and then I'll do 1 for Bitcoin, so we can have 10 Bitcoin.
Second one is
We've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin tied for second. Nuts is third because I gave it two votes,
SHIB is tied for 4th.
and SHIB is tied for fourth. Yes. Look for some good things from SHIB over the next little while. I don't know if all of you are aware or not, but Shibarium is right around the corner. That's their own Layer 2 blockchain solution, similar to what Matic is doing.
Still impressed with what they're putting out.
Those guys have some amazing technology. Like SHIB came on as a meme token, which you know, a lot of people joked about and made fun of it. But actually, they've proven that they can get technology out.
They keep launching. Like,
They launch
hit
stuff.
their goals.
They do. They get stuff out. I have a secret suspicion that others may be involved in that project that are pretty high profile because
But SHIB is
things happen fast for SHIB. A lot faster than a lot of other projects that have more money. Sean got me going on SHIB. We did it as a joke because Sean came to me.
SHIB billionaires.
Yeah, he came to me and said, I'm a billionaire. And I said, what do you mean you're a billionaire? He says, I got 1 billion SHIB. It was worth less than 1 ETH at the time, and ETH was worth about $1,200, right?
Yeah, and so you bought 1 billion.
I bought 1.1 billion.
I went home and bought another $500 million.
Yeah, so you had 1.5.
And I think
Okay, so I think that's, anybody got any news? Wayne, you got any news?
Just the U.S. Today's news, the U.S. debt cap or the debt ceiling is under review. It's hit its maximum. So now the Federal Reserve's involved, and the Democrats and the Republicans have to make a decision as to how much more to increase it. If they do not, they will not be able to pay debt. So basically, they're putting a larger cap on to pay the debt they already have. The dollar is going to go down,
Yeah.
and cryptocurrencies is probably going to be the more sought after asset.
Let's hope
in
so.
the future.
Let's hope it just doesn't tank the world and we create a, you know,
But they only have something
a
like
depression
10
or
days to
something.
get this done.
$31.4 trillion in debt. Wow. My credit card doesn't seem so bad.
They're gonna raise the ceiling.
Oh, they just make it whatever they want. It's all just fun money for them, right? I mean, the whole world bases themselves on US dollars, so it's in nobody's interest for US to have problems.
At the bottom there, U.S. national debt on pace to be 225% of GDP by 2050.
That's crazy.
Like that.
That's crazy. That's insane. That's not sustainable. And yet that's the most powerful economy in the world. That's scary stuff.
Every major power in the world, in history, has failed.
Yeah, well, of course.
So America's just taking a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well,
Time's coming.
and we're right next door, so don't say that. Okay.
And I didn't know that when I look in that brokerage account, the Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. I didn't know that.
Some of them actually do settle with real Bitcoin. You got to look for you're talking about the ETFs? Yeah, that'll be ETFs. So if you look at the ETFs and you do a little more research, you can find the ones that are settled in real Bitcoin. And there are several that are. Not all of them.
Okay.
Some of them don't even hold any Bitcoin. They just base their ETF on the price of Bitcoin when it starts and the price of Bitcoin when it ends and pay accordingly.
Right.
But some actually buy Bitcoin and then sell Bitcoin.
Okay.
And those are the ones that when they sell Bitcoin, it can cause Bitcoin to drop. Because they don't care. Like they've got a time frame that they hold the Bitcoin for, and then they sell it during that time frame, and to them it doesn't matter up or down, whatever. It's just like a function,
Just a
right?
company investing.
Yeah, it's just like a fund. Okay, so we're going to take about a 15-minute break now. Grab some popcorn and grab yourself a drink if you want anything, and then we'll do my presentation on decentralized finance. Any questions before we break? Nothing? No? No questions? Okay, we'll have a 15-minute break. Okay, so just Wikipedia, I thought I'd read this from Wikipedia because this is their explanation of DeFi. Decentralized finance is a blockchain-based form of finance that does not rely on central financial intermediaries such as brokeries, exchanges, or banks to offer traditional financial instruments, and instead utilizes smart contracts on blockchain, the most common being Ethereum. And it is true that Ethereum is probably most of decentralized finance is happening on Ethereum now. So if you're serious about it and you want to put any kind of funds into it, generally you want to stick on the Ethereum blockchains. The others are possible, but they get a little riskier. If you want to just click, there's about 55 billion locked away in crypto assets right now on DeFi. If you click on that link, it'll pull up what's going on. It's dropped 57% and there's still 55 million in there. So if you look at that, it was like over 115 billion not that long ago. And still at 55 billion is pretty good. And it's not going down, it's certainly going up. And I think you're gonna see it increase dramatically over the next little while. So you can go back that slide there, Sean. So it's a delivery of traditional financial services through devices such as smartphones, tablets. That's what digital finance is. It's like digital finance is when you have your app for your bank on your phone and you access it and you check your bank account and you send someone an e-transfer. That's digital finance. That's not decentralized finance. DeFi is short for decentralized finance, part of a blockchain-based approach. It uses dApps and smart devices. So it's a little bit different in that way. Okay, the full range of traditional finance services are available on blockchain. So everything you can do in the traditional financial world, you can do with blockchain. You're not limited anymore. dApps and Web3 make DeFi possible. dApps and Web3, interesting. Anyway, sorry. Web3 provides a personalized browsing and interacting experience within the web. Does everybody know what Web3 is? Web3 is sort of the next iteration of the internet. And it's where you can tie a crypto wallet into the internet. So it alleviates the problem of identification because you can just identify it with a public address, which is a safe way to surf the web and to do things financially, is because you're just interacting with a wallet that's a public address that nobody knows who you are. So that's what Web3 does. Smarter than human search assistants within a decentralized system that's secure and private. Users are custodians of their data, creating amazing experience with recent improvements in AI and blockchain technology. So AIs make all of this happen. Web3 and blockchain technology make it happen. So it's the evolution of the internet. It's actually the next iteration of the internet, using something that is decentralized, using something that is anonymous, and being able to access all the same kind of things you do right now, whether you're chatting or whether you're doing, searches or interacting with people. You don't have to give your information when you're doing it through Web3. The AI runs smart contracts and interacts with blockchains. We don't even have to know what's going on. It just takes care of all this in the background for us. And DeFi equals decentralized finance. It's an abbreviation of decentralized finance, which just means blockchain. It doesn't need traditional infrastructures, banks, brokerages, exchanges, none of that kind of stuff is required because it's a blockchain-based kind of situation. So you never have to worry about that. DeFi uses dApps that run on smart devices to interact with blockchain using Web3. So most of these things are available through your phone. You can access most of the devices and most of the blockchain is available through your phone. Things like the Trust Wallet and others let you interact with DeFi. It covers the entire financial service spectrum, and it all does it all with smart contracts. The dApps are just like apps, except for they're dApps because they're decentralized applications, and they run automatically. They don't need any third party. They don't need anybody to verify them to say they work. Like with the bank, if the bank is down, your app is down. That can't happen with decentralized finance. CEX or DEX, DEX. Centralized exchange like Coinbase is a company that operates, sells crypto for a profit, and they control the private keys. It's really important because if you have funds on any exchange, you don't own those. You don't own the Bitcoin. You don't own the Litecoin, the Ethereum. The exchange owns that, and they give you a promissory note in terms of an app that's tied in with their system, very similar to the way a bank works. When you see a bank with your balance on your bank app, you're trusting that the bank actually has that money to pay you out at some point. And it's the same way with the centralized exchange. It's like what happened with FTX. A guy goes and has a great big party and blows all the money, and you're trusting that you can get your money out, but in that scenario, that didn't happen. You weren't able to get your money back out of that. And so whenever you deal with a centralized exchange, you're trusting just like you trust a bank. The difference is, like in Canada, we have certain fail-safes in place for banks. There's deposit insurance, federally backed deposit insurance, and things like that make sure that you don't lose your funds. Not the case with crypto. If you're using a centralized exchange, you are trusting that exchange completely. So my advice, don't trust exchanges. We've been telling people for over 7 years now, do not leave anything on an exchange. If you are doing any kind of interactions with exchange, once you're done with them, get your funds back off, put them on a hardware wallet. Not your keys, not your coins. We've been saying that for years now. And DEX is a decentralized exchange. It's exactly like Coinbase or CoinSquare in Canada or ShakePay or any one of these other ones, except that it's completely decentralized. It's running on a blockchain. It offers privacy because you don't have to say who you are. You don't have to register with them. You don't have to give your ID. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff because a decentralized exchange is completely working off of your wallet. So on a DEX, you want to control your private keys also, which is really important. So you never have to give up that part of the information of your private keys. You always own them. And again, if you don't own those keys, you really don't own the coins. You own a promise to get them back one day, maybe. And it runs on Ethereum. It runs on several other blockchains as well, like Solana has stuff going on. Also, Matic has a lot of stuff going on right now, and there's several other blockchains that are working quite successfully with DeFi. But Tron also, there's TUSD, which is the Tron stable token and stuff like that. But most everything is happening on Ethereum. And now that ETH fees are back down to being a reasonable rate, it's accelerated the amount of decentralized finance on Ethereum altogether. So it's open source software. This is actually really important because that means that anybody who knows coding and that knows software can actually go in there and look at that and decide, hey, there's something wrong with this code. So you've got people all over the world that are constantly looking at this code. It's open source. Anybody can look at it. Anybody that has knowledge about it can see it, and they can see if there's something nefarious going on. Whereas with your bank, you know, you get a bank glitch and you lose. Like the other day, I did a deposit to the bank. I double counted my money. The girl counted the money in front of me there again. She signed off on it. And then I get a phone call later in the day saying, oh, you're $100 short. It's like, how can that be? Like, I double counted it. You counted it in front of me. And you still say I'm $100 short. But I've got no recourse now. Like, what can I do? Whereas with open source software, decentralized finance, everything is recorded through a blockchain. That, you know, that can't happen. Those kind of things can't happen. So traditional finance charges customers literally trillions of dollars in fee. Any of us who have gotten NSF fees that are totally unfair understand how these charges work, and many of us have. Yeah, like $49, $50 for an NSF fee. So if you have, your deposit happens in the morning, but your withdrawal happens at midnight, guess what? They're going to charge you an NSF fee, even though realistically they have your money there. But they don't care. They'll still just charge you an NSF fee. It's the first time ever an average person can interact and use all these services, and you can do anything that the banks can do on your own. Anything that investment services can do, you can do on your own. It's never happened before. So it generally works with Web3. Traditional banking, it's being morphed into something new with DeFi sector, saving, borrowing, lending, interest-bearing accounts. All the traditional banking activities can be done with DeFi and smart contracts. So, and it allows a trustless exchange of tokens and cryptocurrencies. So you don't have to trust anyone when you're dealing with these DeFi protocols. You just have to trust the blockchain that you're dealing with. And you know, it's a lot more trustworthy to work with mathematics than it is with banks. Stable coins are really important. They actually what created decentralized finance, and they made decentralized finance possible, was the advent of stable tokens. Once stable tokens came out, there was a way for us to peg a value to the token. Like you could say, you know, Bitcoin is worth X amount of dollars. You could say Bitcoin is worth $1 million. And if you get someone that'll pay you $1 million for a Bitcoin, that's what it's worth. But realistically, we need some way to judge the value based on traditional currency, and that's what stable tokens do. So stable tokens, the primary ones being USDC, DAI, and Tether. Is everybody familiar with the difference between those three stable tokens? USDC is a Circle. It's created by Circle. It's literally $1 US is deposited for every $1 of USDC that's minted. So in Canada, it's considered to be a commodity. It's not considered to be a security. USDT, which is, we hope they have enough. You know, it's kind of like the banks. USDT, we hope they have enough to cover what they say they do, but it's not backed in the same way that USDC is. And DAI is an algorithmic stable token. It's based on the Maker Foundation, which is a DAO, which we've done some things with the group here about DAOs. And basically the Maker DAO pegs their own value to make sure that they stay with USD valuation. And they've been very successful in doing that, as has a USDT. It's held its peg. DAI has held its peg, and USDC has all held its peg, which is really important because they're pegging it to the US dollar. So if it stays with the US dollar, it makes it a really viable token to trade for something else, knowing that, say for instance, you think Bitcoin's going to drop in value. You could sell your Bitcoin out. You could wait with a stable token and then buy it back when it goes down to a lower price and get more Bitcoin. So it gets you a way to be able to do it digitally without having to change it back into your fiat country currency and taking sometimes quite large fees for doing that. Stable tokens are the most traded tokens probably in the world, traded more than Bitcoin, just because everybody trades back and forth between stable tokens to other cryptocurrencies. And stable tokens trade in pairs. They have they're always with almost all the big popular coins like ETH, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. All of them have usually USDT or USDC pairs. Yeah, if you think Bitcoin's going to go down and you sell for a stable token, like Sean said, get that stable token, put it on your hardware wallet, and wait it out stress-free. Because if you leave it on the exchange and the exchange goes bankrupt, like what happened with FTX, I mean, nobody thought FTX, well, Kevin O'Leary, I mean, he was out there pumping it, saying FTX is the best thing ever. And obviously that didn't work out so well. Well, banks in Canada are not crypto friendly. Like banks will not, like we've got clients all the time that come to us because they can't get money on exchanges. By the way, that's what we do, is we get people lots of crypto for a fair rate and any amount that people want. But the thing is that a lot of times if you tell the bank that you're dealing with a crypto exchange, they won't even let you send money to them. Like they literally will refuse you. They'll say no. You say, this is my money. What do you mean no? And they will literally say no. And in some instances, they'll cancel your account. Well, you could send it to a gambling site. They have no problem with that. You could wire to any gambling site you want. And they have no problem with that. But if you want to send it to a crypto exchange or you want to buy crypto with it, yeah, they have a problem with that. We've had every bank close us. Every single one. Sometimes twice. So yeah, stable tokens are one of the lowest risk ways to stake tokens because, you know, if you've got a good project, like if you have USDC or USDT, you can probably park that on your Trezor, your hardware wallet, and keep it safe and sound for quite some time in a good, safe way. And odds are, if it's a good project, which these ones that we've talked about are, you're going to be able to wait it out. You know, if you sold when Bitcoin was up to 67,000 US, and you're now buying back with USDC or USDT, you're laughing because you're buying back way more Bitcoin than what you could have. Not many people do that, but some do. Yeah. So is DeFi profitable? Well, it's not as profitable as it has been in the past. So there's definitely a disclaimer there. And, you know, it's similar now to traditional kind of finance, and the numbers are similar to traditional kind of finance now. But the thing to remember is when you're involved in DeFi, you're actually getting paid in crypto. And if you believe in crypto and you think that crypto is going to go back up, then maybe what you're getting paid in will become more valuable over time. That's the only difference from traditional finance right now because literally the numbers are pretty close. I mean, you could click on those links if you want. You don't need to, Sean, but the Royal Bank investment rates and the savings account investment rates are up now dramatically. But DeFi, you've got a passive rate of around 1.3 to 4.7 right now. And once this loads, you'll see here, yeah, DAI is at 1.3. This is on DeFi Prime. So this is just a site that aggregates the amount of money that you can make. So DeFi borrowing rates and 4.5%. So that means you can make 4.5%, which is actually pretty good money. There's very few traditional bank investments that will give you short-term 4.5%. You usually have to lock it up for a number of years to get those kind of rates. So, and there are lots that promise outrageous. Some of them promise like 1% per day. It's just not sustainable. So it opens up a new world of possibility. And the nice thing is that we can deal with these things on our own. We don't need anybody to do this for us. We don't have to hire a professional. We don't have to go to the bank. We can do all of this stuff ourselves, and we can take care of it ourselves. One of the ways is staking. So probably one of the easiest ways to just make passive income from your crypto is just to stake it. And to stake it with one of the bigger exchanges like Binance, Gemini, Kraken, and these are all CEXs, right? Centralized exchanges. So there is risk involved, but it's pretty easy. Basically, you just say, hey, take my Bitcoin, put it over here, and you get X amount of dollars. Or take my ETH, put it over here, you get X amount of dollars. It's really super easy through most of these kind of platforms. And it's risky though, because again, you don't own those private keys. So you're trusting that exchange 100%. And if you put all your wealth into it, which I know people that did this with Terra, right? Terra USD, TUSD. I know one young fella, about 22 years old, had over $4 million in Terra and literally went to zero, nothing. Like within a week, he had nothing. And he had life-changing money. But he wanted to wait till it went to $10 million, like if you could believe that one, right? So, you know, the moral of the story is, you know, get the money out when it's there, especially if it's life-changing money. But the problem is with exchanges, you really have to trust them. And as we've learned with FTX and with Quadriga and several others, you can't trust them. So the smartest way is to stake your coins using a hardware wallet, and it is possible. Because when you stake it with a hardware wallet, it's air gap from the internet, and it's safe. You always own those tokens. So if you can find a way to stake your tokens with your private keys safe and stored in your possession, that's the way to go, by all means. Another way that you can do is with liquidity mining. Is everybody familiar with what liquidity mining is? Anybody? Anybody know? Nobody knows? Okay. So liquidity mining, basically, I'm going to let Sean play this little video. It's only a 3-minute video, but it really explains liquidity mining quite well, and probably better than I could. I think the volume will be okay.
Decentralized finance, DeFi for short. It looks more like traditional banking than anything crypto up with yet, but it also looks nothing like traditional banking. And it has its own fresh set of jargon to master. I'm going to explain why everyone is talking about yield farming, and another buzzword that people are really losing their minds over, liquidity mining. If all of this sounds a little frothy, don't worry, I'm a bit skeptical too. First, let's go over some history. For a long time, making or losing money in crypto was solely a matter of speculating on the price of assets like Bitcoin and Ether. Then, a bunch of people built software on top of the Ethereum blockchain that kind of acted like banks, but without bankers. You could now take a loan out against yourself. No paperwork, no ID, no credit rating. All you had to have was Ether to use as collateral. Put up some Ether, and you'd get dollars, or dollar-pegged stablecoins, in return. That was the innovation that put MakerDAO on the map. Fast forward a few years, and now Compound is one of the major DeFi lending platforms. A new chapter began on June 15, when Compound started giving out governance tokens, called Comp, to both depositors and borrowers. On Compound, people were already earning money for making deposits that other people could borrow. Borrowers were paying interest in order to borrow. That's all normal. Earning interest on deposits was an example of what people call yield farming. Because Compound wanted people on both sides to borrow more and deposit more, it announced it would distribute a new token, Comp, to both borrowers and depositors. The Compound team has a good reputation, and suddenly everyone wanted this governance token, but there was hardly any available on the market. This caused the token's market cap to spike above $800 million in June, before falling back to about $350 million at the end of July. At certain points, Comp was worth enough that borrowers were actually making money off taking out loans. That's how crazy it was. Soon other DeFi projects started imitating Compound. Balancer created a governance token. Yearn.finance did too. Everyone expects two Aussie projects, Curve and Ava, will release governance tokens as well. Either way, this idea of giving someone a new token for doing something you want them to do, that's liquidity mining. It's important to be careful in this space. For now, the mechanisms driving DeFi enthusiasm are circular and ultimately speculative in nature. Also, committing assets to these projects really just amounts to trusting your money to a computer program. Mistakes are made. In March, MakerDAO, the DeFi giant, got tricked into selling $8.3 million worth of depositors' Ether for $0. Despite that failure, DeFi has been growing fast. The next big development could be mainstream investors taking notice. That's happened before. In 2017, it was ICOs, or initial coin offerings, a crypto capital raising mania that drove prices to new heights and brought in new investors. The fallout from the subsequent crash was painful. As an innovation, DeFi makes sense. Bitcoin let you store money and transact it electronically without a bank or a government. DeFi is building banking functions like lending and interest on top of that, also without banks. Whether the enthusiasm for it is justified comes down to a question of whether this novelty can change the landscape of finance in the near term. If not, it's another wave crashing on the beach, possibly leaving the tide of monetary innovation a little higher than before.
So basically what it is a liquidity pool is you say, for instance, you have USDT, which is the stable token we talked about, and maybe you have Comp token, which is, for one of the tokens out there. It could be any token, it doesn't matter. Basically you put, say, $1,000 of one and $1,000 of the other. So you're providing liquidity for a decentralized exchange. You're basically doing something that a centralized exchange has to take out of their pockets to do. So because you're providing the liquidity, the decentralized exchange will pay you a commission. Now, this works great if you have liquidity pairs, say for instance, USDT and USDC, where it's both stable, it's going back and forth, you're making a small hit every time people are using your liquidity, blah, 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 everything's working great. Now, what can happen is some of these other tokens, like let's use for instance, an unknown token like Floki, which is a meme token. Say for instance, you decide, okay, well, wow, look at the percentage that's getting paid for Floki. Floki to USDT, which is a stable token, is paying 79%. I'm just pulling these numbers out of a hat, but let's say it's paying 79%, and you go, oh my God, I want to make 79%. So what you do is you put, say, $1,000 worth of USDT, you put $1,000 worth of Floki in there, and now every time someone is exchanged from one to the other, whatever percentage that you have in the pool, you're getting paid back a commission because you put up your money to make this happen. Unfortunately, what may happen in that kind of scenario is a token like Floki could dump. It could literally go down to nothing. Or it could go skyrocketing up through the roof. Either or is a bad situation when you're a liquidity provider. Because let's say your $1,000 now all of a sudden becomes $3,000. Say Floki goes through the moon. It hits the moon, it moons. Now that's worth $3,000, and guess what? Your USDT is only worth $1,000 still. So if people start pulling a lot of USDT, you could liquidate your USDT position, and yes, you have more liquidity on the other end, but you've now lost all your USDT. So you probably, in a lot of scenarios, would have been just better to keep your USDT, keep your Floki, and hope that it happens and that they go up at some point. Because when you're a liquidity provider, you're taking the risk. So yes, the returns can be good, but if you're taking the risk, you take the risk, and you can get hit with that as well. Hopefully that makes sense. One of the ones that I use kind of as an example is PancakeSwap. I've got some things that I've been running for, since 2019, so 3 years now I've been running on PancakeSwap. I've got a syrup pool set up on PancakeSwap, and it's been returning really well. The only problem is that Pancake is now worth, I think, about $8. And when I got involved, it was worth like $30. So it's not, it's doing great. It's making lots of cake, but the cake's not worth anything anymore. So, but that's what happens when you get involved in DEXs. So there are still high interest APYs, annual percentage yields, available. And PancakeSwap does a good job of, they've got the auto compounding place where you can basically, you put it into a syrup pool, and what it'll do is an auto compound, kind of like a savings account where it'll automatically put the funds back in, and so you're always based on that. So it's one of the things you can look at. PancakeSwap, I know others that are using it as well, and they're still, you can still make good income, but again, you have to believe that cake is going to go up at some point. Because if you create a liquidity pool with PancakeSwap, and say I did one with Cake and BUSD, which is the Binance stable token, and it's done extremely well, and I haven't been liquidated on either ends, and it's actually made quite a bit over the years. But again, tokens are worth 20% of what they used to be. But it is an attractive form of passive income, and you can do this. The nice thing about this with PancakeSwap or with, it's all based on BUS, on the Binance Smart Chain, so it's like pennies to get involved in this. Like you can do, literally you could take $100 and put it into PancakeSwap and get the whole experience of how this works and how decentralized finance works and all that stuff for $100. So that's pretty amazing, because you sure can't do that with a bank. Like usually they want minimum amounts, and sometimes those professional guys, they want like 100K or more before they start even talking to you. Like, yeah, it can be quite expensive. Whereas with this, it can be literally $100, $50, $10. I think I initially set it up with $15. So, just to see if it works. And then another way that you can do it is crypto lending. And crypto lending is pretty straightforward. Basically, you just deposit your money onto a platform, and then you lend it out to others, and you get paid a percentage. It's pretty straightforward. Sometimes fairly high, So depending on, again, you're trusting a platform though. So, you have to trust the platform. There are decentralized lending platforms that you can use as well. And Yeah, they calculate how much you need to secure the loan. If you want to borrow, you can borrow against your own money. Then you could take that money and invest it in something else. And as long as your loan never gets called. As long as you keep making the payment on your loan, you keep the percentage of the loan. Like, it's a fairly high collateralization. So let's say, for instance, you had $1,000. Generally, you would have to put $1,000 to borrow $1,000. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's over collateralized. It's always over. It's not like, you know, if you've got a house, they say, oh, your house is worth $500,000, I will lend you $100,000. It's not like that. It's like, oh, your house is worth $500,000, you've got it paid for. Well, we'll loan you $50,000. It's always over collateralized when it comes to crypto, and that's just so that if the price of crypto fluctuates, you can still maintain the loan. So you deposit the crypto onto a platform. You apply for the loan. Once the crypto is in the platform, required number of confirmations, you automatically get these funds. Like, it's not like there's no application like you do with a bank or something like that. If you've got crypto and you want to borrow against it, you can do it. There's no, you know, application like with a house. Like, if you got a house, say you have a $500,000 house and you have no mortgage, you still got to go to the bank and you still got to say, I want to borrow $100,000 against my $500,000 property. And if they say you don't have ability to repay, they'll say no. It doesn't matter how much equity you have. If you don't have an ability to repay that loan, they can say no. Whereas with crypto, it's just a mathematical equation. Okay, say you've got $10,000 worth of crypto, you want to loan $5,000, you can. You just put it onto the exchange, they give you $5,000, your $10,000 is still locked up, you've got to make the payments on it as required, but as long as you do that, that's always your money, and you can go ahead and do whatever you want with it and keep your original crypto. So there are advantages to that. Lend or borrow crypto. So you can earn passive income from both lending and borrowing, because what you could do is you could borrow on your crypto and then make investments with that crypto and then pay back your loan, or you can lend out your crypto to others and make passive income by doing that as well. And it can be fairly high. It can be, well, I say fairly high now. It's not like it was in the golden days, but you can still make 4 or 5%. Well, you never take a risk with your crypto. Say, for instance, you've got Bitcoin and you've got it just sitting there and you're not making anything with it. You're hoping it goes up, but maybe during this bear market, it's not going up. And you're saying, oh, I got all this Bitcoin sitting there. I wish I could make some money with it. Well, you could put it on, or put a percentage of what you have onto one of these protocols and get paid 4 or 5% per year just for having it sitting there. Risk-free. You loan to others. Okay. Wayne wants to borrow Bitcoin from you. Okay. You've put your loan on the platform. Wayne says, I want to borrow. Okay. He borrows from you on the platform, and he pays the interest which you get. But you're trusting the platform. Yeah, you're trusting the platform, unless it's decentralized. So let's look at an example. You could borrow on your Bitcoin holdings. Let's say you deposit BTC into a lending platform, either a CEX or a DEX, and you receive a small APY of around 0.25 to 0.7. But you can then take a loan out on those tokens, right? And you can keep doing it over and over and over again. So you can literally borrow from your tokens, take those tokens, borrow from those tokens, take those tokens, borrow from those tokens. You can keep doing that. Like, there's no rules like there is in traditional finance where, you know, you can only use so much equity. You can, as long as you have the tokens, you can borrow a loan from them. So you got to be careful though, because you get very leveraged at that point, and if something goes wrong, you can either win big or lose big. It's kind of like gambling is really when you start doing that. So you could take those coins that you then received and you could do, like we talked about earlier, doing liquidity farming, right? So you now borrow against your Bitcoin or against your Ethereum, you take those tokens and you do liquidity farming, which is paying you every day. So now you're getting paid two ways. You're getting paid, you know, on one way by loaning your tokens out, and on another way by taking those tokens and then putting them into a liquidity pool. Compound is one of the more popular lending platforms. This is one where you can just deposit tokens and receive interest rates. And you can see the interest rates aren't what they were at one point, but still not too bad. I mean, look at that one. I mean, you know, there's some decent funds still to be made. Your borrowing APY is 3.56% and the earn APY is 1.92%. So there are advantages and disadvantages, and we want to look at both parts of it. We don't want to just say this is the best thing ever and you'll never lose money on this, because you can lose a lot of money doing this stuff. So the advantages are instant approval, minutes instead of days. If you have crypto, you want to borrow against it, minutes. You can literally get this done, not a problem. It's extremely inexpensive and cheap compared to traditional finance. I mean, they've got all kinds of admin fees and bank fees and all this kind of stuff when you want to borrow a loan, and there's registration of the loan and all this kind of stuff that costs you money. None of that is really the case with decentralized finance. There's no credit bureau checks. You don't have to be approved. You don't have to, meet any criteria of income or anything else like that. And crypto's everywhere in the world, so you can literally take your crypto, you could go to Dubai and you could get a loan against your crypto in Dubai. You're not regionalized the way you are with banks. Like, your asset in Canada may not be valuable in other places in the United States because they don't know what you've got in Canada. But whereas with crypto, if you've got Bitcoin, you've got Bitcoin. So it's a digital collateral that can be used and transported anywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And this is really, really powerful. That means that at any time you can leverage your crypto and you can sell it, or you can, borrow against it, or lend people it. So there's real advantage to that. But disadvantages are, you're the one responsible to figure it out and make it happen. And if there's a mistake, you're the one that's making the mistake. And that happens, All of us that have been involved in this sector know that you can lose money. And believe me, it happens pretty easy. And the wild fluctuations, as we've seen with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, 80% reduction in value. So, okay, yeah, you're earning, you may be earning some pretty good revenue, but now what you've been earning is now 80% less valuable. So that's not so great, And that's just a fact of the nature of the beast. And depending on the platform, there can be very high collateral requirements. So some of them want you to over collateralize so much that it gets to the point where, like, why bother? Like, why bother loaning? I've got to give you a Bitcoin to loan, a tenth of a Bitcoin. Like, it doesn't make much sense, So there is that as well. Okay, and governance tokens is one of the last few that we'll talk about here. Is governance tokens, they basically pay you for participating in the governance of the token. And they offer a reward, and they offer share splitting of the operating fees. So they charge operating fees to do these things, and then they pay them back to you when you own these governance tokens. One of these examples is like the Maker DAO. They pay a pretty substantial fee for owning that. And that's why Maker is actually a very valuable token, because you get to decide what happens with the DAI stable token, and you get to vote on the proposals that come up with that. Things to be careful about. Smart contracts are new technology and get hacked. This is part of one of the biggest problems with decentralized finance, is that it gets hacked and people lose money, and it's happened lots and lots of times, and will continue to happen because you're trusting protocol. So you're not trusting, again, advantages of banks, deposit insurance, things like that, Canadian government backing it, you get your money back, something happens. That's not the case. If you pick a bad DeFi protocol and you don't do your proper research and they have no liquidity, similar to what happened with Gemini right now. Gemini, one exchange, arguably one of the better exchanges out there, the Winklevoss twins. They had tie-ins with FTX for their earn protocols, where FTX was backing some of their loans and some of their investment protocols. So it's not there now, and now the exchange could go down as a result of it. It's a terrible situation. So it's new technology, and that's why we always say, don't put your eggs in one basket. If you want to try this, if you want to put $1,000 in, put $100 here, $100 there, $100 here, and check it out. Yeah, and DeFi is complex, so some people are not suited towards the technology involved to make this happen. And if that's not for you, then it's probably something just not to look at. And because when you make a mistake, it's going to cost you a lot. Sometimes there's high transaction fees. This is not really the case so much anymore. Like ETH for a while there, we were trying to do decentralized exchanges and stuff, and the fees were so high that I had some clients that were losing all of their funds just in fees, and they didn't even know what happened. They just said, look, I've got nothing left. And it's like, yeah, you tried this 4 times and the fee was $150 each time, and that's all the money you had. Like, you know, so this happens a lot more than I'd like to see it happen. So transaction fees can get, well, because ETH is more economical now since proof of stake, but yeah, it still can happen though. Impermanent loss, that's when one of the assets in the liquidity pair has a dramatic increase or decrease in value, resulting in an unrecoverable loss. In the liquidity tokens you have traded for when you have just left each token on its own in your hardware wallet. It's kind of what I was talking about before. If you have 2 liquidity pairs and one goes crazy in value and the other one stays down, you could get liquidated on one of them, in which case you lose all of those tokens, they're gone. And so you got to be really careful in liquidity pools that you choose your pairs carefully. Like when I did a liquidity pool for that pancake swap that we talked about, I did Cake with Binance stable token, the BUSD, because that's a pretty safe pairing because, you know, Cake is the platform and BUSD is Binance's stable token. So it's a pretty safe platform. And that's what people go back and forth with on that exchange a lot. So that's kind of, yeah, diversified. Several different platforms. Yep. Yep. And as I said, do your own research, become your own expert. Don't trust other people. Don't believe YouTubers. Don't believe anything that, you know, you haven't researched yourself and that you don't understand yourself, because unfortunately a lot of people try and do this stuff and they don't understand it at all and they just end up losing money, and then they get soured on the whole aspect of it. But there is opportunity there. If you want to put the time in and you want to learn, it can be profitable and it can be worthwhile. There's lots of big companies that are involved in using DeFi right now, including Tesla, MicroStrategy, Square. They're all involved. There's several US banks now that are finding that they can make more money doing some sorts of staking, liquidity pairs and things like that. They can make more money than they can in term deposits and things like that. So lots are starting to use it now, and I think that'll happen even more in the future. So it does offer real opportunities, but you got to take your time and don't let FOMO win. You know, don't let the fear of missing out make you make stupid decisions. And that's about it. That's all I got for you. Any questions? Discount code for the BTMs is NUTZ, nuts, and that gets you 10% discount on any of the machines. However, that machine over there, the CryptoNutz machine, which has a CryptoNutz guy on it, is set for the lowest rate of any Bitcoin machine in the city, and that's just for the CryptoNutz members. So, you know, if you wanted to put 20 bucks in, like, you know, even 20 bucks gets you skin in the game. Like, all joking aside, it's so much different when you have even 10 or 20 bucks in and you have nothing. Yeah. Like, it's just it hooks you. You know, you start seeing it and you start looking at it and you start thinking, oh, I wish I had put 200 bucks in instead of 20 bucks. But you know, it gets you involved. And that's, I think, you don't have to make a big investment. You don't have to, you just make a little investment and start watching it, and that will get you involved more. And start watching some YouTube videos about decentralized finance, and, you know, a lot of these ones that I've mentioned here, you can go, and each of them have, like Compound and Aave and all these places have fantastic videos and resources to teach you about stuff. So it's just time. It's just a little bit of time.
Well, that's too much. Backpedal, buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's the thing I always recommend. Just buy some Bitcoin.